Hello, true believers. Welcome to another edition of BK's Bullets. My name is not Brent Casina. My name is Jim Afanis. And from time to time, I watch comic book related movies. And today I want to give you guys a second opinion on Joker. So I'm a little late to the party on this one. I know it's been out for a couple weeks now, and if you know anything about me and you know the guest reviews I do on Brent's channel, you know that I love dark, gritty comics. Now before I get into this video, which will contain some light spoilers, I don't really think there's much to give away on this video because I think most people know what's going to happen. But before I get into all that, do yourself a favor, comment, rate, and subscribe to Brent's channel because he does amazing content and I know he would appreciate your support. All right, let's talk a little bit about Joker. Now, as I said, there's not much to spoil in the sense of the overall plot. I think it's pretty clear what's going on here. Joker's a bad guy. He starts off as a mentally ill person, and by the end, he's a mentally ill person who's got a lot of blood on his hands. There are some twists and turns along the way in terms of when is he going to snap and how bad is it going to be. And I can tell you guys, it's bad. It is really bad, uncomfortably bad. Now, I went and saw it with my wife. She liked it. I loved it. I think this is one of the best DC movies out there, and I think it does a really good job of painting how crazy the Joker is. Now, up until this point, my understanding of the Joker has been he's been some guy who falls in some sort of chemical vat, gets his all, he turns white, his hair turns purple or green, whatever. Kind of depends from time to time. He's always got that suit with the little flower. He's a nut job, right? And he seems to be focused and hell-bent on just creating as much chaos as possible. He's never really seemed like a person who cared about money or about fame or any kind of political activism or anything like that. And I think this job nails all of that perfectly because it's very clear the city has betrayed him. Now, I've seen a lot of different reviews online from journalists, from other YouTubers, from Brent himself, talking about how the movie made them feel and different self-reflection. And I think this movie does a phenomenal job of that because everybody's going to take something different out of this video. Whether it's, somebody who's dealt with mental issues in terms of depression or in terms of, mental illness, just like they want to hurt themselves or they're just not quite stable enough to live a normal life, you're going to be impacted by this. If you're one of those people who only cares about yourself and you're very selfish and you're just trying to make ends meet for yourself and not looking out for your fellow man or fellow person, this movie's going to impact you as well. And if you're one of those people who you're the has or the have-nots on either side of that spectrum. Either you're loaded beyond belief and you're doing very well for yourself or you're scraping to make ends meet, this movie will relate to as well. It did a really good job of being really accessible for everybody, but still focusing back on the Joker's individual story. And I never thought I would say this, but I felt a little bad for the guy. Now, I'm not saying that I'm condoning any kind of violence. It's definitely not right to kill people. It's definitely not right to hurt people. But you guys can't tell me that in that scene when he's in the train and, those guys are picking on him and he snaps, you kind of feel like, okay, the guy's finally standing up for himself. I mean, maybe a little extreme on the self-defense front, but he's definitely kind of fighting back. And I think that's a lot of symbology of this movie. The staircase that he keeps going up and down over and over, his run-ins with this police, the clown makeup that he wears. There's a lot of layers of symbology here, but it's really about getting over that hurdle of society oppressing him and kind of just letting himself go and saying, I have nothing left to lose at this point. There's nothing you can do to hurt me. You can beat me up. You can lock me in jail. It doesn't matter. I'm gone. And watching this slow breakdown in his psychosis really is one of the more interesting movies I have seen. I really can't think of any other movie or literary work, maybe with the exception of The Shining, the actual book, not the movie, by Stephen King, have I felt something so creepy inside and so, ooh, the fact that this guy, you're watching his slow descent to madness over 2 hours, and he is by far the main character of this movie. Everybody else doesn't matter. They bleed away. Names don't matter. It's just about him in scene after scene after scene being beaten down, being downtrodden, and eventually succumbing to the darkness and becoming this evil force. And in a way, he's almost like a vigilante of bad guys, kind of in a way that you have these good vigilantes going and hunting down villains. He's almost like a villain hunting down like the rich and famous. And you know, he sets his sights on Thomas Wayne. He's got this issue with these police people. He just seems to be somebody who has a big chip on his shoulder and no one gets to be happy, which is ironic in itself, being that he initially in his former life, before he really loses it and becomes just the full-blooded Joker, dressing like a clown, acting like a clown, learning to or trying to amuse people. That situation, you know, you look at those early scenes of him trying to be happy and just wanting to entertain, to the end where it's like he's the exact opposite. What a crazy ride of a movie. And I really like that they framed just a smidge of Batman in there. Just a smidge. And I think it really shows how corrupt Gotham City is and how it built up one person and broke another person down. And you always get that age-old debate. Did the Joker create Batman? Did the Batman create Joker? Are they, you know, like diametrically opposed? Here you could see Bruce Wayne, got all the money in the world, behind a gate, all this money, great life, watching his family brutally murdered in front of him, and this crazy riot just shows how volatile Gotham City was. On the other spectrum, you have a guy who has given a lot of himself to the city, almost given all of himself to the city, has been used up and broken, and you see him wanting to kind of take back. It's really cool kind of play on how these two characters intersect, and I would love to see this universe explored more. I have a pretty good feeling, though, this is going to be a one-off movie. I don't really know where they could go from here. It definitely didn't need to be very action-heavy, and it wasn't. It definitely was a very somber, slow, methodical tone, watching him break. But I think watching this movie gives you a better appreciation for all of the other Jokers. You know, you think back to the original Batman, the very first Batman that we saw back in the day with Michael Keaton, the one that was almost impossible to watch because it was so dark. And the scene that I'm remembering is when Jack Nicholson, as the Joker, is walking through the art museum and destroying everything. Just destroying it with spray paint, and they're playing that really weird music. The one guy's got the big boombox on his shoulder, and they're basically just walking through this museum and destroying everything. Why is he doing that? Well, it's because he's crazy and he doesn't want anyone to be happy. He wants everything to burn. And that is really, you see a lot of that beginning stage here, particularly in those last few minutes of this movie. But I think this movie really paints that psyche. And if you go back and watch the Dark Knight Returns trilogy, which I need to do because I forgot a lot of it, by the way, but I think if you go back and re-watch that trilogy, I have a feeling that you're probably going to feel another level of, I don't want to use compassion because I don't want to make it sound like I like the guy, but a really good understanding of who he is and really why he's doing what he's doing, what his true motives are, which is just this total descent to madness. I have always said I think DC is best when it's dark. It's got a phenomenal reality to it. Gotham City absolutely could be a real city. When you take away the spectacle of Marvel and these superheroes and the magic powers and aliens and Thanos, and you take all that away and you ground it back in reality, and you look at characters like the Joker and Batman and Robin and just Jim Gordon and this, how this city works and people just rising to the call or falling to the darkness in the city. I think DC has a really great template in which to create some phenomenal stories. I love the Joker. I think it was a great movie. I don't think it's going to be one of these movies that I need to see again because it was pretty messed up. And realistically, I don't know if I'm going to get any more emotional gut punching than I already did. So don't feel like I need to watch it again and again. It's not a feel-good movie. It's not like Avengers or any of the other Marvel movies, or even some of the older DC movies like Superman or any of that kind of stuff that kind of makes you feel good. You can just kind of put it on the background. This was a dark, methodical movie that required all of your attention to enjoy. And I think once you've seen it, you can put it away. I don't think you need to watch it again. I don't think this is something you need to have in your library and pull out every couple months, because it's just going to put you in a weird place, in a weird headspace. And I guess in closing, what I want to say is, for everybody who is kind of conflicted with this movie, saying that it's not good or that it doesn't really, tell anything. It was, and one thing that Brent always tells me is it's not entertainment. Totally disagree on that point. Totally disagree. To me, this was very entertaining. Just because the subject matter is dark doesn't mean you can't tell a good story. And watching this character descend into this craziness, truly craziness, and to see how he got there, the fact that they can make it in almost the way that you feel sorry for the guy, that's good storytelling. That is a very difficult thing to do. And I challenge all of you guys who did not like this movie to really think back on any movie you've seen. And there are a few that stick out in my head particularly. As I mentioned, The Shining book, I think, was probably the best example prior to this movie. But I challenge you guys to go back and think of a movie you've seen where you watch somebody slowly break down over the course of a couple hours, and watch them really turn into a monster that you hate, but one that you almost kind of understand that you helped create. And almost in, when you take it back outside of the movie theater, back into real life, something that challenges you to think about the kind of person that you are. And to me, that is the ultimate expression of art. To take something away that stays with you, that you carry with you. I mean, I played Shadow of the Colossus 10 years ago, and I still think about that game every day. It's something that art impacts life, and it makes you think, and I think for that, it's a phenomenal movie, and you owe it to yourself to watch it. With that, I'd like to close out this video. Hope you guys found this second take informative. I know Brent did a very long, good review on that. Definitely check that video out. He has a lot more to say about the framing and the art and the behind-the-scenes stuff than me. I'm just a layman who enjoys movies. And I thought, you know what? It's been a while since I've done some content on this channel, so I thought I would give you guys a little bit more to watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys in the funny pages.